We're live.
All right, welcome back. So this week we have another great topic with the holidays just around the corner. This is definitely a big time that people are getting thinking about getting dogs for their family or including them in the family. So we want to talk about sorry. We want to talk about choosing the right dog for a busy family because everyone's busy these days. And if you're thinking about getting a dog, a lot of times we start to look for dogs and look for cuteness and things like that. And that's the first, ideally the first thing when we see a dog, we're like, oh, how cute or whatever. And then we read the details and stuff. But if you're a busy family, there's some factors that you want to consider if you're going to bring a new dog into your home. So when you got Archie, what are some of the things that you thought about before you considered getting a dog?
We thought about how much activity he needs,
Yep.
temperament because we
Hmm.
didn't have our daughter yet, so we plan to have kids, and so what
Absolutely.
kind of temperament, and then also we also want to make sure that we have some family members that have allergies, so we looked at like
Absolutely.
hypoallergenic. So
Hmm.
not everyone, that's not a concern for everyone, but that's something that we were looking for, and
Yes.
then really just my wife really had a big wanted to get a bigger dog or medium to big dog. So size wise,
Hmm.
those are the main things we looked
Yeah.
at and sort of like considered when we're looking through things as far as like what breed and what type of dog to get.
Exactly. So Scott's absolutely right. Like you look at the size, you look at, the breed type. There's a lot of things that go into choosing the right dog, especially if you're a busy family. So I just want to touch base on some of those things so you can start thinking about these things before you're choosing a dog. Because I know everyone loves to bring in a dog for, the holidays and things like that. So let's just jump in and start going through them. So if you're talking about the size of a dog, okay, you want to take a few things into consideration. So you want to, if you want to ask yourself, or you would know, I wouldn't know, do you live in a small apartment or do you live in a house? You definitely want to take size into consideration if you're talking about the size of your house or the size of your apartment. So you don't want to get like a big dog, like a Bernese Mountain Dog, and have it in the apartment. So you definitely want to take size into consideration when you're looking at a dog. And so as I go through these, I want you to keep in mind as well. So if you're thinking, oh man, she just says size, and I do have an apartment, but I was going to get a Bernese Mountain Dog. So I encourage you to challenge yourself to think, what is it about the Bernese Mountain Dog that you like? Because you may be able to find that in a smaller breed dog. That's all. Okay.
Or if you really need to get a bigger dog and you have a smaller space, you really
Hmm.
have to 100%, 1,000% commit to getting that dog out for walks,
Exactly. True. Not
activities, doing a lot of things. Like that has to be your lifestyle too. You can't be the person who just like binges Netflix like 7 days a week because
absolutely.
that big dog is not going to like you too much at that point.
Mhm. Exactly. So Scott's absolutely right. We're not saying you can't have a big dog in an apartment, but you have to commit to what their needs are in order to keep that dog in an apartment. That's all. So make sure you're up to par and you're ready to take that on. Um, and that goes along with asking yourself, do you have enough space in your apartment for a large dog? And also the next question I was going to say to ask yourself, are you willing to accommodate that dog? And it's exactly what Scott was talking about. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing a dog, all the size options. Again, the next thing we're talking about is the schedule. Keep your schedule in mind. So we're talking about busy families here. If you're already busy with the kids, then or just busy in life, so you don't have kids, you're just busy in general, everyone's busy, you want to take that in consideration. So if you're getting a breed that does require a lot of exercise or a lot of your attention, maybe that may not be the breed for you. Or like Scott said, make sure you're willing to accommodate that dog for their needs if you're going to get a dog that, with a busy schedule. That's all. And one of the ways I love working with families is that I come in because a lot of times when people do get dogs, like I said, maybe I'm a dog trainer, so I kind of know, and that's why I'm speaking to you guys today to kind of tell you like things to think about. But part of me coming into the homes is working through a schedule with the families because, they get the dogs and then they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much work this was going to be. What do, I do? And I'm like, no, Fred, I'm here. And I actually can sit down with you and go through a schedule that would be good for both the family and the dog. So you just want to make sure you're taking a look at your schedule and making sure you have enough free time, not only to take care of the dog, you want to make sure you have enough time to train the dog properly, because that's going to weigh heavy on the dog long term in the future. So just make sure All right. And then next thing we want to talk about is the activity level of the dog. Each dog requires a different level of activity. And going back to talking about the size of the dog and the schedule and all that, when talking about the activity level, the age, not sorry, let's talk about the age of the dog. Okay. So if you're getting a puppy, just know puppies are cute and everything. So there's a few positives to getting a puppy is that, okay, they're puppies. Usually you get them from a breeder or maybe you get them from a shelter, but they don't have that history with them. And so they don't have like any like negative behaviors aside from the normal puppy behaviors that just comes along with having a puppy. So you actually know what you're getting. And that's perfect for a family that may have kids. Just because, kids and dogs, you want to make sure they're safe. And, a lot of the times, if you get a dog that's older from a shelter, you don't know their history. Even if you get them, whatever it says on a website, they don't know really the history unless someone actually brought them in and, they're surrendering them. But if they're getting the dogs off the street, you just don't know. And if you're starting to put that in with like a kids and family, it can be like a touchy kind of thing, but not saying you can't. You just want to make sure you're doing your due diligence, doing your homework and making sure you're studying up on the dog. But at the same time, if you're getting a puppy with kids in the home, that can be a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a toddler.
Commit for those 6 months, right? Like you have to submit, you definitely have to sign up. You know what you're signing up for those 6 months, 6 to 8 months.
Yes.
Just bank those months. Those months you're not going to be doing much, just puppy work, obviously whatever you do with your kids. But and one thing like you're saying is like, if you are going to take a dog from a shelter, much better if you have had dogs in the past. If you're a brand new dog owner, we were brand new dog owners. We hadn't had a puppy and we hadn't been really gone through any training. So we're like, a newer, like a puppy makes more sense because then we can learn. I'd be scared to take on like a dog from a shelter because if they do have those other issues, we don't have the background. We have never had that experience. So it's an even bigger hurdle to climb, I find, with when you're brand new, right? So versus more experience.
And then from my experience, I had kind of both ends where my first dog prior to me becoming a dog trainer, I got from a shelter and I didn't know any of these questions to ask. I was just like, oh my gosh, he's a puppy. He's so cute. Yeah. Let's get him. And he's 6 now and he's like the best dog in the world. But I did at the time, my daughter was like 5. She was pretty good with the dog, but we did have all those puppy challenges and I was not a trainer at the time. So it was very overwhelming. And he's actually the reason why I became a dog trainer. That's a whole nother story. Yes. But I did not know the time commitment. My aunt tried to tell me, like, Pam, you're getting a puppy. It's like having another baby. And I'm like, no, don't compare it to a baby. But it really was. Yeah. It really was. And so that's why I want to come into your homes and help you. If you have new puppies, my whole things is families with puppies and kids and getting them all on the right track, because I know it can be an overwhelming experience. Even if you're not adopting a puppy, like I said, Pal came for a rescue. My second dog, Francesca, I actually got from a breeder when I was a dog trainer. So I did all the research. I know she was socialized, pretty much potty trained. She came in. I still had the same puppy woes. So people think just because you're a dog trainer, your dog's perfect, but we still have to train a dog and go through all exactly. Some days I'm over here like Francesca, but I still have to go. But I took all that into consideration. Even if you do take all this into consideration, just know you're still going to go through some bumps through the road, kind of figuring out the kinks, what work makes sense for your life and your dog. But just having these in mind will help you choose the right dog. And also back to activity level, what I want you to ensure when you're choosing the activity level of the dog is, yes, you want to make sure that you can provide the proper activity level for the dog. But let's be realistic here. I know myself, aside from training, I do get a lot of activity in, but I love being a couch potato. If you are a couch potato, then you want to choose a dog that's a couch potato too, or doesn't require, let's be realistic, and not saying you can't, accommodate the dog, but I think a lot of times we're so excited, like even the process of getting a new dog is so exciting. And then we're like, okay, I know I'll do this when I get the dog. I know I'll do that. You get the dog, a few months go by and then you're back to your normal routine. So it's like, just be realistic with yourself. In the long term, dogs live 10 to 15 years. So this is a long haul game. And so are you going to do this 10 to 15 years from now? think about it that way. Don't think about the short term. So think of activity level in that sense. Also, moving on to breed, as Scott was saying, choosing the right breed for your family. Some people do have allergies. And I like what Scott said about he chose a dog that was hypoallergenic for his family, but he also chose it because he knew there are other people in his family that may have allergies. So if there's other people outside your immediate family that comes over all the time, you might want to take your breed consideration into that as well. So I know I work with a lot of families where the grandparents will come in and, they'll, help with the kids and stuff. But then you have the puppy. That's just a lot of work. And the grandparents like, hey, I'll watch the kids with the puppy.
Yeah.
No. So take the grandparents or whoever's coming over, the nanny or whatever, to watch the kids in consideration when you're getting a dog, because they're going to have to take care of them too. We talked about age a little bit, having a puppy, which may be a lot more involvement to begin with, but if you get an older dog, they may be a little bit easier per se, but you may not always know the history. And I did adopt a senior dog, so I had, I did the puppy, I did the rescue first with a puppy, I did the breeder, and then during COVID, I adopted a senior dog. She was 7, and that has its own set of hurdles, because again, she was a little bit slower, but she didn't require a lot of walks, and so just the family dynamics of the senior dog's a little bit different. So take that all in consideration. And last but not least, we talked about it before, the history of the dog. And that's going to be so, so important. And I'm a big advocate of early socialization. And so when you're talking about the history, and especially when you're talking about the history of a dog and you have kids in the home, a lot of people do have kids. You want to make sure they don't have like a bite history. You want to make sure the dogs are very good with kids. I know Goldens are good with kids. Sheepadoodles are good with kids as well. So just look at the family-oriented dog breeds that are good. Not saying that you can't get another breed. I've seen other dogs that are claimed to be not good family breeds. I have worked with families with Rottweilers, which has like sometimes that kind of bad thing, wrapped in pit bulls, which are wonderful too. So not saying you can't, just keep that all in mind. That's all. So I hope you're able to gain some good insight as in how to choose a dog for your busy family, and take these things with you. If you have any questions, you can always reach out. We always have the 20 for 20 available. So if you have one question, I can give you one answer. Even if you're getting a dog and you're kind of like, I don't really know where to start, you can contact me. I love when, families reach out to me in the very beginning when they're thinking about it. And I like to stay with them through the whole entire process and onboard them for training and just stay with them throughout the first year and hopefully for a lifetime, if that makes sense for your family. So that's all I have. Scott, do you have anything else to piggyback off of?
That's pretty much it. Like if you don't always have time to watch our lives, you can check us out on our podcast. So Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, all those good places. Just search for Down for Paws. You'll be able to find the podcast there. All our whole catalog of lives are up there right now. So you can check out if you want to see anything back, or you want to watch this or listen to this later on in your car or whatnot. Go check it out. This should be up in a day or two. And then
one more thing. So Decoding Your Canine. If you're interested in learning about all things dog, there's this summit that's taking place next Monday. It is pre-recorded. It is free. So you can just register for it, sign up, watch it at your own watch it at your own pace. I myself will be in the summit talking about the importance of early socialization with your dog, some of the stuff we touched on today. So we can drop that link in the comments. And so you guys can register for that event on Monday. I would love you guys register and sign up. If you have any questions about that, you can also drop those in the comments or reach out as well.
Definitely.
But other than that, we'll see you next week.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.